All right, here's a fun one for you. How long do you think it takes for the new year to hit every single place on Earth? Whatever you're guessing, it's probably longer. So let's get into it. This is a pretty wild trip through time and geography.
Yep, you heard that right. It takes a whopping 26 hours. From the very first cork pop to the absolute last midnight countdown, the New Year's celebration is rolling across our planet for more than a full day. And that right there is our central mystery, isn't it? I mean, a day is 24 hours long. We all know that. So where on earth do those extra 2 hours come from? Well, the answer is kind of hiding out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, along a line that, believe it or not, isn't really a straight line at all.
Okay, so to crack this thing, we've got to get our heads around the map of time itself. And it all starts with something called the International Dateline.
So the International Dateline, or IDL for short, is basically the planet's start line for a new day. It's supposed to follow the 180-degree longitude line, more or less. And it's pretty cool. If you cross it going one way, poof, you jump forward a whole day. Cross it the other way, and you go back in time.
You know, this whole system of keeping time globally is actually not that old. It wasn't until the late 1800s that everyone got together and said, okay, we need to sort this out. So in 1884, a big conference decided that Greenwich in London would be the prime meridian, the 0 point for everything. And that's the grid we're still using today. But here's the kicker, and this is really the key to the whole thing. The International Dateline is not a straight, perfect line. Nope. It zigzags all over the place. And why? Well, it's mostly for political and economic reasons. Imagine trying to run a country where it's Monday on one side and Tuesday on the other. It would be a total mess. And it's these crazy bends in the line that unlock our 26-hour puzzle.
All right, so let's start our trip right at the beginning. Who actually gets to ring in the new year first?
A lot of us would probably guess, Australia or New Zealand, right? We always see those amazing fireworks shows from Sydney on the news. And yeah, they're definitely among the first, but they are not the first. Any guesses?
And the winner is the Republic of Kiribati. I know, right? Specifically, we're talking about its easternmost islands, which are called the Line Islands. They sit in this absolutely wild time zone, UTC plus 14. UTC is just the standard global time we measure everything against. So being at plus 14 means they are a full 14 hours ahead of London. They're literally living in the future, and they are the very first inhabited spot to hit midnight. So how did this tiny island nation get to be first? Well, it's a great story. Before 1995, Kiribati had this massive headache. The International Dateline literally sliced the country in two. This meant the western half of the country was an entire day ahead of the eastern half. Can you imagine trying to get anything done? You call an office on the other side of the country and they're already on the weekend. It was just nuts.
So back in 1994, Kiribati decided to do something pretty bold. They just moved the line. They petitioned to have the dateline officially redrawn to loop way out east around all of their islands. And it worked. It was a genius move. Not only did it put their entire country on the same day, but as a fantastic side effect, it also shoved them right to the front of the line for every single new day, including New Year's.
So once Kiribati gets the party started, the new year begins this incredible journey west. It's like a massive wave of celebration that just starts rolling across the face of the earth. Right after Kiribati and Samoa, boom, the wave hits New Zealand. An hour later, it's Eastern Australia's turn with those world-famous Sydney fireworks. Then it just keeps going, sweeping over Asia. Tokyo, Seoul, Beijing. Then it rushes across Europe, down through Africa, and finally makes the big leap across the Atlantic to hit the Americas. But honestly, the most fascinating parts of the story aren't the big continents. It's these tiny little islands where time gets, well, it gets really, really weird. I want to show you two spots on the map where you can literally stand in today and look across the water at tomorrow.
Okay, check this out. In the Bering Strait, you have the Diomede Islands. Big Diomede is part of Russia. Little Diomede is part of the USA. They are less than 4 kilometers apart. You could probably swim it on a good day. But the International Dateline runs right between them. So get this, when it's lunchtime on New Year's Day on the Russian side, it's still the afternoon of New Year's Eve on the American side. They're just a few miles apart, but are separated by 21 hours. How crazy is that?
And there's another bonkers example with the two Samoas. See, in 2011, the nation of Samoa made a business decision. They decided to jump over to the other side of the dateline to be on the same page as their big trading partners, Australia and New Zealand. Bam.
Overnight, they went from being one of the last to see the sun to one of the first. But American Samoa, which is a U.S. territory just a short boat ride away, stayed put. The result? Two places with the same name, right next to each other, are a full 24 hours apart in time.
So, after this celebration has swept across the entire planet, where does it all finally end? Who are the last ones to turn out the lights? While the last people to celebrate are in American Samoa and Niue. They're in the UTC 11 time zone. But the party isn't officially over yet. The absolute very final places on Earth to hit midnight are two tiny uninhabited U.S. islands called Baker Island and Howland Island. They're way back at UTC 12.
And there it is. That's our solution. The 26-hour puzzle is solved. It's the full range of time zones that humans have created. You've got Kiribati way out front at UTC plus 14, and you've got Baker and Howland Islands way at the back at UTC minus 12. So you've got 14 hours on one side of the zero line and 12 hours on the other. Add them up and what do you get? 26 hours. Simple as that.
So let's just recap this amazing journey. Our global New Year's marathon starts in Kiribati at UTC plus 14. Then it travels all the way around the world, with the last inhabited places like American Samoa celebrating at UTC negative 11. And finally, the curtain comes down on those two lonely islands, Baker and Howland, a full 26 hours after the whole thing kicked off.
When you think about it, this 26-hour New Year is just a perfect reminder that time, or at least how we measure it, isn't just some fixed law of nature. It's a human invention. It's messy. It's shaped by politics, money, and just plain convenience. And it really shows you that these lines we draw on our maps aren't as permanent as they seem. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other lines in our world are actually way more flexible than we think?